this is a question I have personally for you. And I'll share a quick story or where the example even came from in the first place. There's a new skate shop or newer skate shop that opened maybe 6-7 months ago in the Chino Spectrum called Contenders. And they're a small skate shop, meaning I've never heard of them and I've been skating for a long time. So they have to be like a smaller skate shop. And so that means they're probably not making the most money like a Zoomies or a Vans or something like that. There's a lady that goes on people's websites of different businesses' websites, and she checks to see if it's up to date. Like I think it said like Contenders, and it said like, what is it? It's like established, not established. It's like basically when you have the year that you're, you know what I'm saying? It was off, right? It was off a year. So we're in 2023. It said like 2021 or 2022 or something like that. So it wasn't up to date. So she's suing them, and they have to pay all these fees, whatever. And so they started to GoFundMe, and they have to, whatever their fees are, it comes out to 18 grand. They don't have it.
Right.
And so they're like, dude, this lady, we found out that this is what she does. She goes to different businesses and she figures out, right? So
she literally found a loophole where she could just sue companies and they're going to pay her out instead of suing her.
Exactly.
Or instead of going to court.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so
that's how that goes.
It's crazy. And so that's what she,
what a bad human, by the way. What a horrible human that woman is.
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. And so I had heard about the story after I saw a bunch of people's stories posting the GoFundMe, like, dude, you got to support him. They're going to go under. He doesn't have the money. And the owner is apparently a cool guy. I've never met him before, but he seems like a cool guy. And so I felt really bad. So I know the answer to that question is kind of like, you know, he just got to roll with the punches, right? So that's not the question. But the question is, how do you personally, because I know that you had situations like that where people, you know, maybe people you think you can trust, they end up dicking you over and doing something crazy, or a competing business is trying to take you out. Like, how do you mentally weather that storm? Because that's a lot to be able to, you know, go through that and then get back up again. Sometimes you just want to give up. Like, how do you mentally get through that?
It is, and it's almost like the owner of that store, Contender. And by the way, guys, if you're watching this, and hey, Andrew, maybe you can drop the link to that GoFundMe on this episode in the description box if it's still around, to help them out. But that is shitty, and that happens all the time. Sometimes your competition gets funded because they took on private equity. Sometimes an internal employee who knows all your processes and systems that you've trusted goes and gets a business partner and creates a competing business and knows all the inner workings. Sometimes a business partner does that, by the way. You know, they'll split up and partnerships will break up. Whatever it is, like what this guy can't do is he can't look at it as this is a sign from God that I got to quit. In fact, we just got done filming a solo episode here where I talked about the bear and the dragon. This is just another bear, external resistance. The dragon is internal resistance. All your limiting beliefs are the dragon that always tries to get you. It attacks you. It's your limiting beliefs, the things that you tell yourself that I can't, I don't know how, I'll never make it. The bear is external resistance, like this woman who trolls websites, finds a little discrepancy, and then sues, but really doesn't want to make it to court. She just wants to then settle out of court and get money, right? And there's a lot of this. Sometimes you get an employee who you've terminated rightfully, but you're in a state like California, New York, Michigan, New Jersey, Washington, that is very employee friendly, meaning they will scream wolf and say that they were wrongfully terminated. And there's attorneys out there who will take their case, and you're like, do I pay $200,000 to go to court and defend myself? That's what it's going to cost me. Right. Or do I just pay them the 50 grand that they want and be done? That's extortion.
Right.
The bottom line is, the way you develop this mental toughness is not, you can't develop it in that moment. This is no different than I hear like all these guys that have YouTube channels that teach, you know, self-defense, whether it's hand-to-hand or pistol or knife self-defense. They're like, if you have a gun, if you have a knife, if you think like you bought that gun and you have it in your nightstand, and the moment you hear a thud downstairs, you're like, all right, I'm going to defend myself and my family with that gun in that very moment, you're not going to be able to, because you haven't practiced enough to develop proficiency to know how to use that gun during the most chaotic and emotionally overwhelming time of your life, right? Yeah. So maybe if you had gotten practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, where now you've gotten so proficient that even in the craziest emotional distress, you can grab the pistol, use good pistol etiquette, clear your room, go down the staircase, do whatever you need to do things right. That's what you need to do. So this guy, he needs to, and every entrepreneur, you got to build these mental muscles, emotional muscles, your muscles of self-discipline years and months and years before you ever have to deal with the issue. Because in that moment, dealing with the issue, if you're like, man, I've never experienced any problems and I didn't think I'd ever gonna experience a problem. First time you experience a problem, if you fold, that's because you haven't developed the mental and emotional discipline, those muscles to withstand the storm.
Right.
So the question is then, how do we do that? The answer is you do hard things, because if you've always chosen easy in life, like I know so many people who have chosen to take the easy path in terms of they don't work out, they don't do hard things, not an ice bath, not a cold shower, they don't even go work out, they don't go running, they don't do hikes, anything that's uncomfortable, they don't do. They like to they go to work, their business, and then they go home and watch TV and they eat, and then as they start making more money, they eat better quality food, they have a bigger TV that they watch, they might even buy a bigger house, but sooner or later, that guy has not developed mental and emotional muscles that are needed for the inevitable attack on his business that's gonna come. And when it does, he's gonna be like, oh shit, how do I handle this? Well, you can't. You haven't done hard shit to develop a hard mind and spirit. And therefore, that attack might take you down. And so the answer is to do hard things so that you become a hard motherfucker, because business is one hell of a battlefield.